Welcome to the Disability and Podcast, bringing together thoughtful discussion and debate. This month, Mind the Gap's associate producer Paul Wilshaw chats with student actor Toby Ross and lecturer in dance Karen Bartholomew about the Mind the Gap's Performance Academy accredited course.
Hello and welcome to Disability and Podcast. Today it's my privilege to introduce you to Toby Ross, who is a member of the Performance Academy at Mind the Gap, and Karen Bartholomew, who is the Associate Artist in Dance and Engagement.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So, Toby, thank you very much for being here. So, you're part of the Performance Academy.
Yes, I am, yeah.
So, what made you want to join the Performance Academy?
I'd been with the company in total for 8 years, so the company knew who I was, and which helped. And also, I'd done 2 courses previous to, while still being part of Mind the Gap, which also helped as well. YAFTA and then the one-day music.
And I should have mentioned that the Performance Academy is part of Mind the Gap as a whole company, and it's been a journey of 3 years that Mind the Gap's been on, because the course has been accredited by York St John's University, and we've done an interview with Melissa Conyers and Matthew Reason a year and a half ago. So this is actually following on from that podcast. This is a question for you, Karen. When Mind the Gap decided to get the Academy accredited, what was your first opinions about that? And did you have any hopes or fears about it?
I was really excited by the prospect of running a level 4 course accredited by York St John. I think the most exciting thing for me was the potential it had to make our training even better and raise the profile of what Mind the Gap does and raise the profile of the talent that we have in the building, because the course is unlike anything else really that currently exists, and because it's so new and so different, I was really hopeful that it would just help us reach more people. I don't think I had any fears, maybe some apprehensions about the additional responsibility that accrediting a course might bring. And there's a lot of assessment criteria, paperwork, reports to write, and things like that. And in my role, I don't have to do all of that paperwork. Melissa Conyers does a lot of the hard work around that. The Performance Academy course that we ran previously was still very thorough and still really well planned and evaluated and assessed in a different way. But I think there's something about like the mindset of something being connected to a university standard or level that was quite like, ooh, is this going to be a lot more hard work, and how many extra layers on top of all the great work that we already do is it going to add? But it's been really straightforward because I think we work really well as a team to make that as streamlined as possible. And I think as well, like just personally as an artistic person, a creative person, a bit of self-doubt about doing my students justice, because it was official, you know, that university mindset of, oh, can I do this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you were my tutor when when I was part of the Performance Academy. So seeing exactly what's happened from when I was a student to what we're doing now and with our Performance Academy students, it's a real change, and you can actually feel the change in the company, I feel. Toby, I wanted to find out from you. So can you tell me about the audition process and finding out that you got in?
Well, it was kind of sort of a mixture of, 2 things really. One, because of course it was during COVID, so we had to send in self-tapes. And then there was 3 self-tapes, both for theatre, dance and music. So it was kind of a lot of backwards and forwards, as it was at the time. for most people. And then also, we also did like in-person auditions. And then after that, I just found out that I got on the course, because of course I was really pleased that I was on the course, because it was one of the first of its kind to be ever for Mind the Gap to ever do. So it was quite. I kind of saw it as quite an achievement, really.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I actually didn't realise about that it was during the pandemic as well. So
Yeah, it was. It was.
it's pretty radical, actually, in
was.
that sense of thinking about it.
Particularly the backwards and forwards of the self-tapes, and also, yeah, that was.
I think we learnt a lot from that, though, if I can just chip in,
Yeah.
because we're just recruiting for our next cohort for students to start in September this year. And we found those self-tapes really useful when we recruited your group, Toby. So we knew we wanted to do that again, because it just gave it. We realised how important it was to just get a bit more insight into people, especially new people that we'd not met before, get to see them share their skills with us in a way maybe that they're more comfortable at home, or had more time and more space and wasn't in a more of the pressurised audition environment, which we still did this time, but I think it was really helpful to be able to see people in both those contexts.
No, definitely. And Toby, actually, just going on from that, how did you actually find doing a self-tape? Like, what was it for you?
It was quite easy because Melissa Conyers had kind of sent through all the information, and so I was kind of sending all the videos and stuff to her, so it was kind of quite easy and fun, and there was, as you were saying, Karen, there was kind of something very natural about kind of doing it in your own house as well, instead of doing it at Mind the Gap, so you had that freedom to kind of chop and change things and stuff, and then with the in-person auditions, we then came here to do the in-person auditions, and then it was after that I then found out that I was on the course, and it was kind of quite a special moment.
No, that's great, and it sounds very accessible as well, which I think is a really important thing for everyone around access. And Karen, as a tutor on the ground, what have you learnt about working with York St John's?
Really practically, we've been over a couple of times, haven't we, Toby, to look around the space, to watch other students' performances, to perform as part of the dance and theatre modules dance trail last year or the year before. So just getting more involved with what happens on campus was really interesting and exciting. I think most of my learning has been about how you take that level 4 qualification. So I'm sure Melissa and Matthew talked about this, but the level 4 qualification is basically the equivalent of the first year of an undergraduate degree, but we do it over 3 years. I've done a lot of learning about how to take something that's very kind of formal and standardised and really make it accessible and teach those skills in a way that allows people to do their best. And I think also, like, the flip side is that we want York St John to learn from that, and that's part of the reason why we were really keen to build this partnership with them, because we wanted the way we work to have impact on them too. So things like our grades, we don't have a pass and a fail. We have improving, achieving and excelling, and that just allows us to make that learning, those assessment results a bit clearer for a student. So if a student gets improving, it's not saying, oh, you failed, which feels quite a negative term. It's about, you've done some work, you're just not quite there yet. Achieving is, solid, you're working, you're doing really well. And excelling is just acknowledging that extra mile that people, we talk about the extra mile quite a lot, don't we, Toby? The extra mile that people maybe go to, or just adding in dance we talk about achieving is a donut and excelling is a donut with one of those fancy ones with Oreo biscuits on the top
with jam in.
Yeah.
So just that, and also taking the assessment criteria forms and the module specifications, which traditionally at uni are presented in a very formal way, white pieces of paper with charts and words and numbers. And I have a degree myself, and I'm intimidated by those documents, and I've read them, similar documents, before when I was at uni. So we've tried to find ways of presenting that information in a more accessible way to our students, but also would like that to to impact on York St John as well, because it's not impossible that there would be a student at uni that would benefit from information presented in a more accessible way. And I read a blog by Stopgap recently, and they were talking about how making something really good and really inclusive is only going to be beneficial for everybody. By making something really inclusive, you're not omitting anybody, you're including everybody. And whether that's like an inclusive class or an inclusive piece of information, like, I think that just hit the nail on the head for me. It's just, if you can make something inclusive to everybody, then it's just like to one person specifically, everybody is going to benefit.
No, I totally agree with you on that. Toby, I want to know for you, what has been your favourite memory of being on the course?
I think just kind of meeting everyone, and as you were saying before, we have been over to York quite a few times as well, and just having that opportunity, a very rare opportunity, which not many people get, for it to be with York St John as well, and just meeting everybody on the course, because I have a couple of friends who are at university themselves, and they say, just how hard university is and how hard university work is, but just to have that opportunity to kind of like do a similar qualification has been really good, and just to have that kind of special opportunity to do the qualification has been really good.
Karen, as a teacher, why do you think it's important that the course has been accredited by York St John's?
I think it's been really valuable because we're already running a version of the Performance Academy before it was accredited, and I'm biased and big-headed, but I think we were already doing a pretty decent job.
Yep, I totally agree.
Thanks.
Very good job.
Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and so we've had students who've progressed from previous Performance Academy course into the group of artists and been in our touring work, such as our co-production with Gecko, A Little Space, or in Birdie now that's touring. We know it works. We know that the Performance Academy can be a really great route for somebody into the artist programme. But I think what the level 4 qualification just at the York St John accreditation does is add some recognition for that standard of work that's happening. And I feel like hopefully it challenges people's assumptions of what people with learning disabilities and autism can achieve. Like, the arts doesn't have to just be participatory and fun and social, and while that's really important, like, there's a breadth and a massive amount of people who aren't beginners. Yeah, they're training, they're experts, or they're becoming experts in their art, and they can learn, they can achieve, they can graduate from a course, they can perform in an international touring work. Like, hopefully that just the accreditation is going to just find ways of challenging what people assume.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally think that will. Well, I hope it will.
And I think it's great as well, all the tours and stuff. It really is getting learning disabled artists out there, like the Birdie tour and the other tours that the company have done. It's really kind of getting the company out there, which I think is needed. And particularly as we go into the City of Culture year next year, I'm sure Mind the Gap will have a huge role in. It's really important that we, get it out there as much as possible, that learning disabled artists can in fact act.
One of the other things is, because there's a lot of talk in general about it being a 3-year course and how people progress and what happens after, and it's not, it's very much part of the course. So the students have a module called Industry Studies, which is about learning about the wider world of the arts and creating a CV and an access rider and all those different things that help provide an open up progression route. So it's not 3 years goodbye. If you're not becoming an artist, that's it. It's 3 years with support and guidance into what's next. And it's an ongoing relationship.
And to add to that point, I think it's great because for so long I've never would would Mind the Gap say as a company, that's it, 3 years, bye-bye, slam the door. They support and help their students, which I think is what a good company does, particularly when outside people come in.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, though, also to state that as much as what we love of having everyone here, we also need companies to actually hire our actors and hire them so that we can bring the new cohorts of actors and performers up to make sure that we're getting these standards up even more. So it's great, but we are not a one-stop shop. We can't be everything for everyone, and we really want to work with companies to make sure that our actors and our performers are really progressing in this industry, and not only in front of our stages but also backstage. And that's also where industry studies come in to play, is also that we teach the students about backstage work as well as front stage.
And James Moore and Jack Carroll are doing a very good job, and I think it's good that Liam Bairstow, has got that platform and able to hold on to that platform.
So, Toby, have you struggled with anything whilst on the course, and how have Mind the Gap and you found solutions to it?
I used to, not enjoy dance or not be confident with it, and I never used to, at school, I never used to do it because I was never ever confident with it. But Karen has helped me to enjoy dance a lot more.
And how has Karen done that? Like, what processes have been put into place to make sure that you are enjoying that?
With my coordination, she's helped me a lot. Just get a lot more enjoyment out of the idea of doing dance. So then from that, I then became more confident.
Yeah, we have so our dance module is on a Wednesday, and so we start every Wednesday with an hour and a half technique class warm-up. But how we approach technique here is, it's not maybe what people might assume traditional technique of, the most flexibility or the most perfect precision in your movement, whilst that's really interesting and valuable part of training. Where we start from is people's own perception of their own body and how their own body moves in space, and becoming more confident with having ownership over their own way of moving. So it's never about everybody looking the same and doing a movement in the same way. It's about everybody's interpretation of how movement feels. So I think Toby, you've developed your skills massively across all art forms, as you said earlier, Paul. But I think within dance, I think you've been really persistent and challenged yourself.
Yeah, and I feel a lot more confident in dance, and it's nice to see that not just Karen, but all the tutors appreciate the hard work that I've put in over the time I've been with the company.
I'd be very honest with you, Toby. Dance was not my favourite either, but Karen also had a real good way of teaching me and a fellow podcaster that's been doing this podcast, Dan Foltz, that him and me were probably Karen's hardest pupils in dance.
Well, no, you know what? No, because I think what is really important to acknowledge is that we never... especially on the Performance Academy course, because it's 3 different art forms, to find students that are really experienced in music, theatre and dance is very unusual, because normally someone's focused on one specific art form. So all we ask is that if you're stronger in theatre or stronger in music and not as strong or experienced in one, it doesn't matter, as long as you're going to commit to it and you're going to give it a go. And so that's the conversations I've had a lot with you and Dan about. It's fine if you don't feel like it's your strongest art form. You come in the room and you put the effort in, and you find ways together to do it. So I think it's a really important point.
That's great. Karen, how would you like to see the course progress in the future?
So the course that Toby's on now is the first version of the York St John accredited course that we've run. even though we're in the third year, it still feels very new, and it's new modules every year. We've worked with like a consistent group of students. We haven't yet gone through the entire range of modules that the course offers. So I think we're learning a lot as we go. I'm definitely excited to see how it affects the pathways within Mind the Gap. So the dream is that people do the Performance Academy course and either become one of our artists, or we support them to do further training somewhere else or go into the big wide world of employment in the arts. It might take a few cycles of the 3-year course to really see that journey, that pathway becoming clear. One thing that we've really enjoyed is collaborating with outside companies as part of the course to help our students with their learning. So we did some training with Gecko, which was brilliant, and we have had discussions with them about making that a regular, like a yearly, not necessarily yearly, but every first year or second year, Gecko coming back in. So just establishing some relationships, stronger relationships with some of those external companies that can really inspire and engage the students that we're working with.
Yeah, definitely. I think we mentioned Gecko on a previous podcast about a little space, and just working with companies like Gecko, who are a brilliant company and really admire their work. It's great, and I think it really helps the students as well. And you can see that actually whenever they're doing a end of year showcase of how I think seeing those works with the other organisations actually helps. So in that case, and I've just mentioned about the showcase, so I want to go to this question, Toby, to you. Each year we do an end of year showcase.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
In your opinion, what makes that special?
I think just everyone kind of coming together and just the amount of work that we put in, it gives you an idea of like what working in the acting industry is like, and it reminds me because often just how much I kind of enjoy acting. And I'll give you one example. Last night I was at Wicked, seeing the Wicked the musical, and I was kind of sat there thinking, oh, this is great. It kind of reminds me just how much I want to go into the creative industries and be an actor, because how sometimes you see people because obviously we're all told how difficult it is to become an actor and stuff, but kind of seeing shows and like Wicked and being here at Mind the Gap reminds me why I want to be an actor so much.
I think it's so important as well. You mentioned in shows that you're like seeing it on the big stage and stuff like that. I mean, talking about the Academy Showcase, last year you were at York St John's doing it at their building, and this year we're at Leach Playhouse working at their building. I can't wait to see the Academy Showcase this year, because if you do anything like you've done last year, I mean, it's going to be amazing. I was so impressed last year, and I know you guys, and if you've had another year, I'm like going to be blown away. And I think any audience members that come to that showcase will be definitely blown away. I want to know, what one piece of advice, Toby, have you been given that you will take away with you after you've been on the course from any member of the team or fellow performers?
I was given this as part of a Christmas / birthday present. It said on it by one of the fellow students. It said, "Life is like a cup of tea. It depends on how you make it." Which, given I've got a cup of tea in front of me at the moment, I feel as though that's even more relevant, because kind of it depends on how much you put into it. You only put in what you get out. If you do put in all the work and all the effort, like as I say, I've been with the company for 8 years, so that's quite a long time. It just kind of shows you what you then get out of it, I think.
No, I totally agree with you. And I think I love that quote. Just as
I've still got it actually at home. I often think about it. Life is like a cup of tea. It depends on how you make it.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, it reminds me of life's like a box of chocolates. I'm more of a chocolate guy than a tea guy, but you know,
in keeping with the tea theme.
Okay, my next question is to you, Karen. What has been your favourite memory teaching on the course?
Similar to what Toby said just a couple of minutes ago, actually, the last year's end of year showcase at York St John felt really special. The showcase the year before was here, so it was a space that everybody felt very comfortable and confident with. But York St John, we went, and the first time we properly were in the theatre was the day before. It was the challenge of being in a new venue. It was boiling hot, I seem to remember. Everyone's nodding. And just seeing how the students rose to that challenge, and everyone approached it in a different way, and everybody found it very different. But the feedback that the students got after the showcase was incredible, and just really validating to see that the audience could see all the hard work that they'd put in. And we still have the feedback up on the wall in Studio 3 and I like to read it like every so often while I'm like rolling around the studio. I'll go and have a little look, because like some of the stuff that's written is really special, and just like having an end of year showcase to work towards is so important, because it gives everybody some perspective. And a deadline is always quite helpful, isn't it? You got to make something, and you've got to do something. So yeah, as you mentioned, our showcase this year is at Leeds Playhouse.
I also, it's a big up to you as teachers and everything as well, because you give the artist, you give the performance company all your time and effort, and I think a lot of the time that's just stuff people behind the scenes don't recognise how much that the students and the performance and other staff members really do appreciate this work that you guys do.
Thank you. It's very kind.
I really do think that's important to mention. My question to you, Toby, is, as an artist, why do you think it is important that the course has been accredited by York St John's?
I think because, as I was saying before, the reason why it's so good that it's been linked up with York St John's University, because it gives you kind of something to aim for. Very rarely, very rarely do you get kind of courses that are linked up with universities, and it's such a special link up where you kind of go, oh, right, this is great. It's with a university. I may not be going there, or I might decide not to go there, but at least if I go to somebody and say, oh, I've done a course with York St John's University, they'll say, have you? That's that sounds great. They're kind of they're going to want you more, I suppose, if you say it's with York St John's University. So I think because it's with a university, it gives you something to go for and aim for, which is often not the case with courses.
No, definitely. And it's your last year. So my question is, what advice would you give to the new people that will be starting on the course?
I think to kind of, again, to refer back to what I was saying before, life is very much like a cup of tea. It depends on how you make it. Just kind of put the work in and you'll get the work out. And that's what I've seen, particularly while I've been on this course and with Mind the Gap over the last 8 years.
Yeah. And for me personally, Toby, seeing you during all your processes and your work at the company, I have seen you progress. Karen, what opportunities would you like to see open to this cohort of artists after being on the course?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the fact that all the kind of press and promotion around the course has raised the profile of Mind the Gap in general, and I'd really love for that impact to be felt by other organisations. So there's some recognition from the the wider arts world about realising the value and the talent that exists within the world of learning disability arts, and just recognising that it's not just one thing. Like, people with learning disabilities and or autism can be and are incredible performers and have so much to offer, and companies that haven't maybe worked with people with learning disabilities and or autism before can see like the standard of training that we're producing and the standard of artists that are coming out of the company and hopefully having an impact outside of us, really. Just hopefully influencing other companies to be challenge themselves to be more diverse, more open-minded to like the benefit and the value in difference and diversity.
I totally agree. I think we've got to help companies stop being scared of hiring disabled performers, learn disabled, physical disabled, people who are physically impaired. And I think we've just got to stop that fear and actually help. And I think if you want to come and chat to Mind the Gap, we're always open to have chats. And I know so many learn disabled companies are also willing to have conversations around this. So,
and
please.
I think...
Yeah,
sorry.
Toby.
And I think as well, if you look at James Moore in Emmerdale, and, because for ages I thought I was going to be in Emmerdale.
Well, why not? That's the whole point.
I was telling everybody I was going to be in Emmerdale.
Hey, why
Manifest
not,
it,
though?
Toby.
Yes.
Why not?
Indeed, why not? So kind of, when you look at people like James Moore in Emmerdale and, do you know Jack Carroll?
Yeah, Jack Carroll's in Coronation Street now.
Formerly on Britain's Got Talent, and also Liam Bairstow in Coronation Street. So I kind of I feel that's kind of sort of raised the bar in terms of just like getting people out there and stuff.
I totally agree. And actually, that comes to my last question to you, Toby. What would you like to do next in your career? Because I already know you're a radio DJ. So
this podcast is easy for me, Paul.
So please tell the people where to listen to you on radio.
So modest, Toby.
Yes. Drystone Radio 102, 103.5 FM.
Cool. Okay. And what would you like to do next in your career?
I think I would. I've been thinking about this a lot recently and speaking about it with various people and people within the company and people who used to be connected to the company. I think kind of sort of stay within the company in some way, because particularly with Bradford City of Culture coming up next year, and I'm sure Mind the Gap will have a big role in that, and to do kind of sort of more TV work and like more Emmerdale stuff. I think because it's great when you become inspired by other people, and I definitely do feel as though the artists have inspired me a lot.
That'd be great. So I really want to say a big thank you to you, Toby, and to you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
And please listen in to next month's podcast with Disability Arts Online. And I hope you all take care and stay safe. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for listening. We do hope you've enjoyed this episode of Disability And. Further episodes of Disability And can be found through the Disability Arts Online website at www.disabilityarts.online. Please join us next month when Colin Hambrook chats with spoken word artist Ellen Renton about Archive Stories, a research project investigating the National Paralympic Heritage Archive.